I'm fired up and I'm ready to go. I'm fired up and I'm ready to go. I'm fired up and I'm ready to go. This is the Billionaire Brown experience. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here again with Dr. Clete Bulach. There we go. What we'd like to do first and foremost, as we always like to do with our guests, is what's your story? Do you have a story? What is your story? How did you come to where you are today?
Well, in 2002, I got a contract to evaluate every school district in the state of West Virginia. So I bought an RV and traveled around and asked kids and teachers, what do you like about your school? What don't you like about your school? And after 5,000 miles and 5 months of travel and all of those interviews, I realized that, hey, I know what's wrong with our schools. It's human relations. It's the way teachers and students interact, and it's the way students interact, and it's the way the administration and teachers interact. So I wrote 2 books on how to improve our schools. And it's human relations that are the problem. It's not curriculum. It's not the feds. It's not the State Department. It's what happens in our schools. And your audience is probably more interested in the human relations than they are in what's wrong with our schools. Is that correct?
You're probably correct, but I would like to. Can you tell me a little bit? Can we take a few minutes and you can tell me what you believe is wrong with our schools?
Sure. 6 reasons. Number 1, student misbehavior causes 30 days of instruction to be lost each year because teachers have to stop teaching to correct student misbehavior. This causes a poor culture and climate because teachers are stressed because stopping to correct student misbehavior is a very stressful thing to do. So student misbehavior is first, school culture and climate is second. Third.
Hold on, wait. What's school culture and climate?
What is it?
Yes.
Okay. Picture an iceberg in the ocean, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You see the part sticking out?
Yep.
That's climate. The part below that supports the iceberg is culture. In a school system, the culture is the beliefs and values of the people in that system, which most people don't know about. And that creates a climate. Now, in my book, I suggest that the administration and the teachers should identify the underlying culture, the part that nobody sees. So, and this applies to a teacher, this applies to an administrator, this applies to a minister, this applies to any leader out there, and parents. Okay, I do an expectations diagnosis. If I'm a parent and I've got 2 or 3 kids, I give each of my kids 2 or 3 3x5 cards, and I say to them, what do you expect of me as your parent? And the kids say, you want us to tell you what we expect? Yeah, I'd like to know what you expect. As a teacher, I went to the kids and I said, what do you expect of me as your teacher? Because when I look out there at 30 students in my classroom, they are brown, they are white, they are red, they are Latino, Oriental, they are rich and poor. There's a whole hodgepodge of people out there in my classroom. They all have different expectations of me as their teacher. The same is true of parents. The kids, you don't know what they expect, so you lay your expectations on them. But when you ask them what they expect, you turn the tables. You change the power situation. You say, hey guys, I'm listening to you. I care about you. I'm here to do the best thing I can do for you. So this is one of my techniques to improve human relations in schools. But you can use the same technique in any organization, in any church, in any group, in any business. You go to the people and you say, what do you expect of me as the owner, as the leader, as the minister, as and so forth. 3 3x5 cards. You get the cards and you sort them into common piles and you paraphrase what's in each pile. And you go back to them and you say, this is what you expect of me. I think I can meet your expectations, and I'm going to do my best to do that. Here's one expectation I don't think I can meet, if there is one. Normally there is one, and you tell them why. So, but what it does is it changes the relationship from top down to bottom up. It changes the relationship between the leader and the followers. It's what I call servant leadership versus self-serving leadership. In most instances, when I interviewed these thousands of teachers, principals came across as self-serving. When I interviewed the students, teachers crossed as self-serving as opposed to servant leaders. I asked the kids, what do you like about your school? And they said, going home, getting on the bus, recess. And I said, well, what else do you like? And they said, the teachers. Oh, okay. And then I said, what don't you like? And they said, the teachers. Oh, okay. Tell me about that. Well, some teachers will listen to us. They care about us. They want us to learn. And then you've got these others who are just waiting for their paycheck and their retirement. They come in the classroom, put their feet up on the table with their cup of coffee. They look at us and they say, all right, guys, I'm here to teach. If you're here to learn, we're going to get along just fine. So the teacher shows no caring for the students, is not servant leadership oriented, is self-serving. And now, baby, when you run into somebody who comes across as self-serving, do you trust them?
No.
Are you open with them?
No.
See, that's what's wrong with most of our schools. Teachers come across as self-serving, and the other teachers and the students aren't open and don't trust the teachers. Now, when you've got that kind of situation, how do you expect test scores to improve? Let's say in a normal marriage, openness and trust are critical, right?
Sure.
Did you know openness has 2 dimensions?
No. What are the 2 dimensions?
One is telling and one is listening. In many cases, and there is a survey on my website that measures levels of openness and trust in any organization. It's free. Anybody can send me an email.
You can't use that type of language on our podcast. You just said the F word.
I did?
Yes, you did say the F word.
What was it? No,
Free.
I said it's free.
That's the F word, and we love that here.
Oh.
Dr. Cletus, you got to let us know, where can we get this free information? Our audience.
Well, you've got my email address, don't you? And my website?
Yes, we do, but can you give it to them really quickly so they know where to get that?
Website is www.westga.edu/tilt, that squiggly thing up in the left-hand corner of your keyboard, and C Bulach, C as in cat, B as in boy, ULACH. Everything on my website is free. There's a survey on bullying behavior, on openness and trust, on school culture and climate, on leadership behavior, and so forth. All of those surveys are free.
Okay, now what's number 3? Before we get to the openness, the listening and telling, what was number 3? We're at number 3. We have student behavior, student culture and climate. What was number 3?
The 5 basic needs of all people. And this is at the heart of human relations. It applies to you, BB. It applies to me. It applies to a kid with autism. It applies to a prisoner. It applies to anybody out there, all human beings, okay? Now, philosophers have been arguing about this for years. Why do people behave the way they do, okay? Simple question. Why do people behave the way they do? So the early philosophers in the 18th century came up with life itself. And affiliated with that is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. At the bottom is stress and anxiety and feelings of safety. If a kid is fearful for his life, or is stressed out, is not feeling safe, they're going to behave different from another kid or another human being. Then you go to the second need which philosophers came up with, and it was happiness. And they said, oh yeah, people behave the way they do because they want moments of happiness in their life. And everybody pretty much agreed that those two needs are basic. Along comes Nitzche, Nietz, as in zebra, Che. I believe I'm spelling that correct. 19th century. He says, yeah, life itself, feelings of safety and happiness are important, but there's a more important need that people have. He says it's power. Now, in my books, in my two books, I equate power to control as a basic need. And I ask you, BB, just ask yourself, if you were in complete control of something versus having no control, how are the feelings different?
If I have control of something and I don't have controlling something,
yeah,
how is the feeling different?
Yeah.
Well, if I have control of it, I feel every aspect of it. I know what's going on. I can, take if it goes well, I can take responsibility for it. If it goes bad, I can take responsibility for it. If I'm not in control of it, I could do my part. If you tell me if I'm a part of whatever is being controlled, I could do my part. But everything else, I have no control. That's like in a team environment. If we got 4 people in the group, they say, you go north, you go south, you go west, and you go east. If I'm going north, and that's what you told me to do, I'm going to go north. But I have no control over you going south, west, and east. And if that messes up our algorithm of the success of the outcome, then I have no control over it. And how do I feel about that? I don't really feel anything about it because I know that I did my job. I did what I was in control of, which was what I was supposed to do.
As a general rule, when you're in complete control, you feel good. When you have no control, you feel lost or unhappy, unguided. Now, in life itself, control is a key factor. And being in control, it varies between individuals a great deal. So there are individuals who have a high need to control. I think President Trump is one of those. He has a high need to control. So he controls. We could get into his conflict management style and how he deals with conflict if we have time, but I don't think we're going to have time today. But he is a very controlling figure. He also gives control, by the way. He gives control to Congress, and he says, come up with a DACA deal. Come up with a DACA deal that I can support. And he throws it back to Congress. Come up with a budget that will keep Congress running. So he throws it back to Congress. Now, if you contrast that with Obama, President Obama, he did not give Congress control. He says, guys, I don't trust you. I've got the pen. I'm going to rule by edict. And he signs all his regulations with his pen. So he did not give control to Congress because he couldn't control Congress. So he took control back. Now, in a normal classroom, the kids walk into the classroom. The teacher tells them what the rules are. The teacher tells them what they got to study, teaches them what they have to study, teaches them what the homework is. They are completely controlled. Our schools are some of the most undemocratic institutions in our society, next to prisons, okay? Kids go to school and have no control, except in the sports and other extracurriculars.
But so what would a student control that we're not allowing them to now? Like, what's an example? What could they control?
Oh, well, I gave you an example of how to give control without giving it up when I said, what do you expect of me as your teacher? Didn't I do that?
Okay.
The next thing I do is, what rules do you want me to enforce in my classroom? Here are 3 3x5 cards.
Okay.